I have to say that I think the meeting yesterday between Keir Starmer and Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission was, for Starmer, from his point of view, a great success. There were pictures of him looking thoughtful and constructive, and clearly employing a much more positive and much more conciliatory tone towards the European Union than his predecessors, particularly Boris Johnson. On the other hand, and this is just as important from the point of view of Starmer, absolutely nothing was agreed between the European Union and the United Kingdom, which will expose Starmer at home to criticism from the Eurosceptic press, from the Conservatives, or from the Reform Party. If you look at the communique which was issued after the meeting, it's clear that absolutely nothing was agreed. Two things stand out, however, in this communique. First, the European Union is not going to review in anything other than a very limited sense. It's certainly not going to renegotiate the trade and cooperation agreement, which is the basis of Brexit. It's stressed that that is the basis of future relations between the UK and the EU. And the other thing which is stressed is that there isn't any common agenda for negotiations between the United Kingdom and the European Union. There's going to be a scoping out exercise over the next few months to see where there might be areas of possible negotiation for mutual benefit. And I think that's important. It will be for the European Union to decide whether mutually beneficial arrangements can be come to. It won't be enough for Keir Starmer to say that he would like something to have happen. It will have to be something that's in the interest of the European Union as well. So nothing was agreed as a result of this much touted and much trailed meeting in Brussels. Well, that's absolutely fine from Starmer's point of view. He wants to have his cake and eat it, not so much in dealings with the European Union as in his positioning in the British public debate. He wants to differentiate himself, at least rhetorically, from his Conservative predecessors. But on the other hand, he doesn't want to give anything that could be used by Reform and the Conservative Party as an accusation that somehow he's giving way to Europe. He's rewinding Brexit. When he came back to the United Kingdom, he was very eager to stress that there are things on which we will stand firm, as he put it. No to rejoining, no to the customs union, no to the single market, no to freedom of movement. And this obsession with rejecting freedom of movement probably will act as a barrier for Starmer on the question of youth mobility, where the Commission and the European Union are putting forward proposals which they attach importance to. Unless Starmer is prepared to move on that issue, it seems unlikely that he'll get very far with the rest of his ill-defined European agenda. To be fair to Starmer, his is not the only party which is reluctant to engage seriously with the European Union and European issues. Obviously, we have the Conservatives and the Reform Party, which are the Brexit parties. But all the three main supposedly pro-European parties, national parties, including the Liberal Democrats and the Greens, are very reluctant to talk in any short-term horizon about Brexit. What they want to do is to agree with Starmer that it was a mess made by the Conservative Party, and that's a reason why people shouldn't vote Conservative. But it's what Boris Johnson might have called an issue for the Greek kalends, that's to say for the indefinite future, seriously to think about rejoining the single market, rejoining the customs union, or even rejoining the European Union. The Rejoin EU party doesn't have any such equivocations and hesitations. We think that the campaign to rejoin the European Union should start now, because the longer we're outside the European Union, the more harm it will do to us. The more the culture of our political life will be undermined by having to pretend we're something that we're not, having to pretend that we're not a European country when we are. And we think that the volatility and undermining of values which has taken place in our political system over the past 8 years has a lot to do with Brexit. And that's only going to get worse if we continue to normalize Brexit, which seems to be the intention of Keir Starmer. When he talked about making Brexit work, he seemed to imply that Brexit can be normalized and illogic can never be normalized. Brexit is a profoundly unnormal state for the United Kingdom and it needs to be reversed as soon as possible. At the march, the National Rejoin March at the weekend, I said to the Press Association that the Rejoin EU party sees itself as being the reverse, the mirror image of UKIP. Now, we don't yet have the number of supporters, we don't have the media presence, we don't have the money yet of UKIP. But our tactic, our strategy is the same. We want to prove to the supposedly pro-European parties that there's an electoral penalty associated with not being pro-European, with not standing up for Rejoin. We'll be fighting elections, by-elections, local elections, regional elections over the coming years, months and years. In the lead up to the general election, there are a lot of people who said, well, I might support your party, but I don't want to let the Conservatives in by the vagaries and anomalies of the first past the post system. Well, that argument can now be abandoned. We've got a Labour government with a very substantial majority, and that's not going to change. But we need to send a message, those people who care about rejoining the European Union, to the Labour government and to other political parties, that pro-Europeanism is an electorally winning prospect. Because we know from the opinion polls, counter to what Keir Starmer was saying in Brussels yesterday, that most people in this country want to rejoin. They realise that Brexit can't be made to work. And the Rejoin EU party is looking to build a coalition of political pressure, of political opinion, making that clear to the governing parties, particularly the Labour Party, but also the other non-conservative parties. I hope that you'll find it in yourselves, if you agree with that analysis, to become one of the Rejoin EU party's registered supporters. Go to our website and you can become a registered supporter, which doesn't necessarily mean giving up your membership of some other party that you may be associated with. We want to build a coalition of opinion, but it's also a coalition that has an electoral arm to it. We want to fight in elections, and we hope very much that over the coming months, we'll be able to demonstrate that the opinion poll findings can be translated into political votes. We think in the Rejoin EU party that the longer we stay outside the European Union, the worse it will be for the country. And the longer we postpone the decision to rejoin, the longer it will take finally to get back in. So let's get cracking. We've got an opportunity over the next 3 or 4 years to be electorally active, and I hope that you'll want to be part of that process, either as a supporter or, if you really want to stand up for what you believe in, why not be a candidate as well? Thank you very much.
And support our cause on Patreon. Be part of the movement.
Vote Rejoin EU. Join the EU vision.